Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, laytaka dawman qareeb.
Always have an excuse to be late, but lateness should not be excused. So I apologize for coming to this gathering late. I have been asked to take this talk because it's not going to be a lecture. I generally do not lecture, even when I'm in the lecture hall. Because if I look around me, I see tens of people, if not hundreds, that are better qualified to give this talk. So if for any reason I've been called upon to deliver a lecture, I can only say that what I will be saying will be more of a discussion from my own miniature perspective, from my own very small perspective of what we should do as parents. I have been asked to take the lecture in two phases. I've been asked to take the first phase in English language and the second in Yoruba. The topic for today, which is parenting, our responsibility towards raising the next ambassadors of Islam. Parenting. In this gathering, I'm sure we have grandfathers, we have grandmothers, we have mothers, we have people that are way older than I am and more entitled, more experienced to speak about the topic. For me, after listening to the guest lecturer, Ustaz Ariyadi, if anybody decides to carry his or her bag or car keys and leave this place, we would have gained immensely. We have heard verses of the Quran, various verses reminding us of our duties as parents. We have heard the verses before today. We have heard more today. One of it is where Allah says, "O ye who believe, save yourselves and your family from the fire, whose fuel is men and stones." So therefore, parenting is a major responsibility. Without good parenting, we can never have a good society. Now, we've listened to verses from the Quran. We've listened to various ahadith. But it seems at times we need a degree of practical things. The Quran is practical. The Sunnah is practical. When the Quran says we should observe Salah, our Prophet ﷺ came to teach us how Salah should be observed. When the Quran says, "Oh, you will believe, fasting is prescribed for you," the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet, greatest Nigerian parents, the Prophet, Sallu alayhi, the Prophet now came to teach us. We are going to fast throughout the month of Ramadan, which may be 29 or 30. These are the things we do when we fast. Islam breaks things down to us. But let it not be that parents of today are living as if we're in a box. Let it not be that we've separated ourselves from the reality of the society in which we are. Let it not be that because we have, to a large extent, provided some things to our children, we believe we have done enough. Let it not be that in a way or the other we are lacking. My Muslim parents, my Muslim fathers and mothers, we are sleeping. And so, when I say we, I'm the first. I do not absolve myself of anything I'm about to say here. And that's why I said earlier that this is going to be a discussion. How I wish we had time for other people to share their perspectives on this issue. the first thing you should note is that parenting is a lifelong responsibility. You never get through with parenting. From all the stages of childhood, infancy, the child could be was once a toddler, an infant, a teenager. I learned there's one now called teenager, I'm not sure. To the point the child becomes an adolescent, down to his youthful age. And during this age, the child gets married, begins to have his own family, but you are still attached to your child. That's how Allah has made it. Now, there are many perspectives that we would like to look at, that we should look at. We need to provide for our children, emotionally, spiritually, financially, psychologically. There are so many areas that cannot be exhausted. But the point here, what I want to address, I want to hinge it around two basic things that I believe that if we are able to get the hang of these things, we would be better parents and we would be in a very good stead to raising the future leaders of Islam. The first is communication, while the other is training. The first is communication, while the other is training. Why have I prioritized communication? Why have I? Don't forget, I'm not talking about the spiritual. That is basic. You'd have children, you get a good spouse, you cement your relationship with your Lord, you observe your salah, you do all those. Those ones are basic. They are important. You can't even negotiate it. But when it now comes to communication, I see Muslim fathers and mothers lacking. When you communicate with a child, whether as an infant, or as a toddler, or as a teenager, or as a youth, you tend to discover what problems, what challenges, what are the alleys that you want to look at. Is this child lacking financially? Is it lacking psychologically? Is it lacking emotionally? But what do we see? Communication. Wherever there is communication, we are on our way to solving major problems. It holds true everywhere. In marriages, in your places of work. Once you are able to air your grievance, to say, see, this is the problem, then there are solutions in sight. Dear Muslim father, permit me to say a little things to you. When last did you communicate with your boy child? We want to raise youths for Islam. We want to raise ambassadors for Islam. We want Hufaz. Abdullah has to learn the whole of the Quran. Abdul Wahid has to be a medical doctor. When last did you check on them? Yes, you send them money every month. I send money to ABU, I send money to LAS. When last did you communicate with these children? If you do not know, and I think you should, the world is in trouble. The world is in trouble. There is every need for us to mind our business. What is your business? Your children are a major part of that business. You do not fulfill your obligation by merely providing for them. Who talks to them about puberty? Who talks to them about their relationship with the opposite sex? What's your CGPA, Abdullah? My son is on 4.0. Who talks to them that integrity is everything? The fact that a child is doing well in school. Do you know if he pays his way through school? Who sits the male child down and asks about his aspirations? Do you listen to them? Do you give an ear to them? Or do you insist, I'm a lawyer, you must study law? Do you check on them in the university? Do you know what peer pressure means? It means that even children from blessed homes get to the university and you do not believe what you see. At the beginning of the talk, I said I will be talking from a small perspective. And that perspective is because I live among them. I live among the youth. I see them every day. I talk to them, they talk to me, and I know most of them are pregnant. They want to talk. So there's no daddy there to talk to. There's no mommy. Daddy's too busy. He doesn't even feel it's necessary. I have someone I have a boy who is being raised by a single mother. When he became mature, he did not know who to ask. He had questions about puberty. He had questions about masturbation. He had a number of questions, but there was no one to turn to till he eventually confided in his mom. Why do we Muslims wait for things to happen to us? Why don't we make things happen? Why don't we try to start creating the society we want? Why do we fold our hands when the society has taken almost everything from us? Everything. I don't listen to music. You don't buy DVDs or CDs of music. But tell me, you don't know, what's this man that sings rubbish? I can't remember his name. There's this Dazu. You want to tell me you don't know? But you look away. Your children come around. They watch Big Brother. You say they are in university. It doesn't matter. So when they are in their rooms, you've given them access to the phone. Yes, it's understandable. They are in a higher institution. They should have. They are mature. Do you talk to them about what to watch and what not to watch? Or they are free? Dear Father in Islam, mind your business. Islam is beautiful. I'm proud to be a Muslim. It doesn't let go of you. The fact that you've raised sons, you've raised daughters, that's not it. You remain accountable. We would remember the various ahadith where the Prophet ﷺ talked about the day of Qiyamah. And that day, in fact, the Quran describes it. It says, no bearer of burden can bear the burden of another. That thing is touching. When somebody says, I can't talk to you this day. My burden is enough for me. The Quran says the pregnant woman will let go of that burden. She won't even know it. It's a day of agony. May Allah make it a day of peace for us. Children, number one, should be molded right from when they are young, before they become youths. Hope is not lost. All hope is not lost. For example, there was somebody when he was young, wasn't even a Muslim. Or he was a Muslim but not conscious. All along the line, he got married, he started raising children. The Quran says you do not despair of Allah's mercy. The day you realize that you are lacking in an aspect of life, you then begin to make amends. When you mold a child, I have a family. If I mention the name of that family here, I know that there are a lot of people from the Micah family here. I look at that family. I can say it from this dunya that this man is blessed. His name is Adedeji-Adeyemi. He passed on about a month ago. When we were young at Akoka, my father never used to pray. So did my mom. But they used to allow us to go to them. I think I met AIC brother Lukman from there too, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember Michael Alimosho used to have programs way back. It was a large family. A family that will accommodate Muslims. A family that was the first boarding house ever in the 80s that I know, that was a Muslim boarding house. What the man was fixated on doing was to raise Muslims. Right from, we had people that were 4 years, 5 years in that boarding house. And they used to teach. And I'll let you into a secret of all the products of that man, that Al-Hajj who I claim to be my father too. You would not see one that is not a Muslim. You would not see any that you have to force to observe Salah. Allah blessed the man. He blessed the offsprings from him. If I were to pray, our people in Yoruba land say, Mofola e toro. I believe it's not allowed. So I prefer to say, Mofola olombe. I beg you by your might and glory, O Allah, that you do so and so for me. If I were to pray and I was allowed to mention somebody's name, I'll mention that family. The family is just like this. They would look for every reason for you to mention Allah's name in that compound. When I got to this garden, I started thinking, this is my second time here. Because we used to have the program way back at Alimosho. And the first time I came here, my big brother had his first child, so we came around. But it wasn't like this. So when I got in here, I started having ideas. So you mean somebody can reside in a place and give it a touch of Islam, such that the person is fixated upon doing this every year and every available opportunity. Let us try as Muslim parents to, one, communicate. Talk to your sons about puberty. If they've attained puberty, sit them down. Tell them what it means. Tell them what Islam allows. Tell them what Islam expects. Tell them what Islam would not allow. Islam will not bend for you. The rules will not change for you, no matter how hard you try. There will be some things in the deen you will say, oh Allah, it's because of where I walk. They don't allow big hijab in this sector. Oh Allah, it is your relationship with your Lord. Ask for tawbah, beg him. But to say that because you have a tight schedule, or because you're a medical student, you can now refrain from observing Salah till you get to the hostel and combine everything. Islam will not bend for you. Talk to your children about puberty, about the responsibilities attached thereto. Do not give children unrestricted access to gadgets. Access to gadgets. When they come of age and they are entitled to handle gadgets themselves, please sit them down. What do we see in the university system? What is it that is obscene that you cannot see on your phone? What is it that is blue that is not on your phone? What is it that is something enlargement that you do not see on your phone? Tell your children about music. The fact that you were a fan of Barrister in the 80s or 70s does not say that you should not tell your son what he needs to know. Monitor your son, whether he be a youth or a teenager, dear Muslim father. Go to Luth, go to Lasso, go to Lasso once a while at an awkward time to know how he is faring. Is he in school or has he gone out with the boys? You watch football. You are so distracted that you don't even stand up for Salah. You had better start living what you want to see in your children. What I want to see in my daughter, I have to live it. L-I-V-E this time. I have to be a model. The world has strayed, it has gone from do what I say, do not do what I do. If there's anything you appreciate, if there's anything you want your son or ward to learn, you have to be that model yourself. Let me let you into a secret. Almost every youth is taking drugs. Like Abdullah cannot. Omotoha Quran. Almost every youth is taking drugs. It's not written on faces. It's not about I'm a medical doctor. It's not about I'm a law student. It's not about I'm newly married. Please find time to monitor your boys. Find time to monitor your children. Let us inculcate the dictates of Islam, because without all of this, we can. I once met a sister, a law student. She had memorized the whole of the Quran. So I was very impressed. A 200 level student. So I called her. I said, I'm interested. How did you achieve this feat? She explained to me where she went, how she learned, how her dad and her siblings too. She now said something that surprised me. She said, the truth, ma, is that when I start having children, I would rather have them memorize some parts of the Quran and practice them rather than memorize the whole. I said, why? He said, at times I look at people like me and I'm like, are you a custodian of the Quran? Is it not better for you not to know? Do you know what it is to memorize the book of Allah? and act in a negative manner, this should be a food for thought for all of us. Let us try to inculcate, and we cannot give what we don't have. I'm impressed by the turnout of fathers and grandfathers at this event. Whatever you know, if it is Qul Huwallahu Ahad that you believe in the Quran, and you know the interpretation of that verse of the Quran, try to inculcate this in your sons. Let them have street sense. Let your sons have what they call street sense. I would explain it better in Yoruba when it's time for the Yoruba version of this. Don't raise children that do not know anything. I remember a program that Ustaz Abdurrahman Ahmed attended. A youth copper doesn't know how to boil water. Go and make her bad. The water is doing shish. What's the meaning of that? When you raise children that have to depend on you for everything, there's a problem. I could be a little harsh. But when I tell my children to do things, and they tell me, I got there was no light. So you left. Did you drop a note? Did you do this? Do not behave like somebody who cannot think out of the box. Don't raise children. You take your child to school, you're meant to drop 200 naira in school for him to come back home. Unfortunately, you got to the school, you forgot to drop that amount. A child with some degree of street sense will walk to her teacher. Ma, mommy forgot to give me 200. Can you please assist me with money to go back home? The child will not sit down in his class till 8 o'clock at night. There must be a degree of street sense. If your child does not have, I'm not saying that I've started sending my children to Oshodi Market, but they must go to Oshodi. Let's start small. Whenever you need to teach a child a thing, be intentional about it. When you send your child to a boarding house, you buy things for the child. You buy blankets, first term, the whole of the items are gone. Second term, same thing. You do nothing about it. Then when the child now gets in for medicine, you can be sure all the textbooks and all the shirts will go away. They will disappear. They have to have a degree of responsibility. Dear mother, are you there? Greatest Nigerian mothers, we are asleep. Are you sure? Are you sure? If you are very sure, our staff told us that many questions will be asked today that we have to answer in the corners of our bedrooms. When last did you have a talk with your teenager? When last did you talk to Shukra? When Shukra attained puberty, what did you tell her? In your dreams, because Shukra attends a secondary school, a Muslim or an Islamic secondary school, they don't talk about boyfriends. Live your lives as if you are in a box. It's a lie. It is a lie. You're shying away from something that they will learn outside and will learn in a bitter manner. You're shying away from topics. You have blocked all communication channels to your daughter. You're doing yourself great disservice. These children are pregnant with questions. But because they know your reaction, you can't even think of it that a child will come up to you and say, Mommy, I don't know. Since I got to SS1, the boys in my class, you're talking about boys? Is that what I sent you to school to do? I have somebody that is a lawyer. She has committed herself to teaching girls about puberty. So she will go from a particular school to the other. She will buy foreign books to teach them. She will still teach them that there will be a point in your life where a boy in your class will be smiling at you. Life is in stages. She teaches them what to do at that time. She teaches them what you see, what you're experiencing, the puberty you're facing. She goes with sanitary towels. It's normal in your lives. But we are Muslims. These are the things we are allowed to do. These are the things we are not allowed to do. Greatest mothers, you're not asleep. Have you taught your girls how to use convenience in public? It's too, what's that? She'll say to herself, what kind of topic is that? Have you told your children what they would experience during puberty? Have you ever reminded them, your children, about their duties to their Lord? But every Nollywood film that comes out, every cassette, CD, some know all the actors from back to back. As it's coming out, they bought it. Some, it is Bollywood. No One But You, White Rose, all those, I can't remember those. Those addictive things. We love football. We love African magic. But we do not have time for these youths. And we want ambassadors of Islam. So that when they get into a university, their identity is lost. Somebody called me and said, Ma, a 500 level student. When I say student, the person works in Central Bank. He has about how many degrees? He just came to the university to study law. Said, Ma, there's a girl in my class I think you need to talk to. When she came in, she used to cover, but now she's a prostitute. Did you hear the use of that word? I didn't say now she doesn't behave well. Now she is a prostitute. I said, sir, that is a heavy word coming from a Muslim. Why that word? Why prostitute? He said, I know what I'm saying. Are we not in the same class? So the people you do zina with, the people you bribe, the lecturers you pay to get marks, the judges you pay to get the judgment to be on your side, all those people you corrupt are the same people that talk about you. All those people. What am I trying to say? He was trying to tell me, not in very plain language, that we know how they exchange her in class now. She's in my class. This was somebody that came in as a Muslim. So I ask you again, how many times have you sat her down? How many times have you sat your daughter down and asked her a startling question and check her reaction? The girls in your class, how are their boyfriends? Muslims, we don't have business with all of these things. But because they happen, you have to address it. If you do not address it and tell them that those things you see happening are not the things that should happen. But because of the society in which we are, you cannot run away from the society. You cannot live in a box. This is what Islam says. And this is what you should do as Muslims. Hope is never lost. Hope is never lost. Before I attained puberty, right when I was young, I was up to maybe like 5 years, my mother had bought me a book for girls only. For girls only. So that nothing startles you. When your children are informed, they become good teenagers. They become better youth for the future. We have work as Muslims. A whole lot of work. To be ambassadors of Islam is not a simple task. But then it is easy for whoever Allah makes it easy for. We have to be intentional about it. We should not be passive and wait for things to happen. We should not leave things to chance. Nobody leaves things to chance, save those people that would eventually lose. These children remain a trust over which will be questioned. You observe Salah. Do you call your children at all to observe Salah? It's not, well, there's this attitude that, see, I've tried, and if you feel you are not going to conform, that's your problem. It remains your problem till Yom Al-Qiyamah. You remember the euphoria, the joy, the happiness when you had that son, Okurini. You cannot leave things to chance. You remember your joy when you had that daughter. You were so happy that, oh Allah, you have given me a daughter. This is a trust. You cannot let go. The society would not mold your children for you. It is never too late to start. We have a whole lot of things to do. Do not forget that youths are very quick to learn from their environment. That thing about I raised my son well, I raised my daughter well, let me send him to America. When I see somebody say he's in the US now, I'm happy for you, I don't envy you. If you send your child, because you have money, to a university in the diaspora, and you do not monitor, you're in trouble. Because this society itself is a challenge. That one there is a completely godless society. I saw a book made for 10-year-olds in the US. For fear of being, because of modesty, I cannot begin to give you the content of that book because there are children around here. When you make a book with pictures telling 10-year-olds to learn how to do some things that are better done in the other room, with all the pictures, male to male, is better done now, I cannot even begin to describe. That is a godless society. We are striving towards being like them, unfortunately. But we, when I say we, I mean the Muslims, we should know that the society should not mold us. We are role models. We should influence the society. It's a difficult task for whoever Allah makes it difficult for. And it is easy for whoever is fixated upon it. If you get to the university environment at night, as much as universities try to curb all these things, if you get to that environment, if you are not careful, it will be as if, gone are the days where you could walk up to a child and say, "Who's your mom? I'll deal with you." You can't do that anymore. The society has changed. You can't scold my daughter. I can't scold your son. Leave my son, leave my daughter. We're suffering for it. So if you get to those environments, there was a time I went to a university. I was running a program there. So like brother Abu Muhammad, brother Lukman is having a stand there for healthcare. I decided to do, and there's no test that they run. If it's free, I'll run it. It doesn't cost me anything. They say HIV. I know I'm not likely to have it. I wasn't married and I wasn't having illicit intercourse. But if they say HIV, I'll go. I remember there was a time in the hospital that I was treated with a used syringe. I never got over it. So on this particular occasion, it was a program. I now queued up to do HIV test and all. There were 2 young girls in front of me. 2 I wasn't married then. They were in front of me. So the form said, when last did you have intercourse? With how many partners? So, of course, that's very easy for a Muslim to feel. No, dash. And God knows, God forgive me for peeping. The ones in front of me, those girls at that time, maybe 18, and they filled it there. It was as if I should slap them from behind. How? And they wrote it with confidence. And you see, the world has become so troubled that they even joke about it. They are cursing me. I looked at them. I was like, what is this? This was way back. This time, at that time, there was no Davido. There were no obscenity. Of course, when we were growing, we had some degree of obscenity in the songs that our fathers used to sing. Little by little. Maybe some little Sonia Day. Some little obey, just little, somehow, that it will take an adult to decipher. But now they say it as it is. Tell your children to move away from music. Tell your children to move away from music. I went somewhere to buy something. I saw children, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, dancing, and it was as if I should slap their mother. What lyrics, what are we giving to these children? I have given their mother money to buy food. I've paid their school fees. I've paid PT. Is that what we're talking about? How do we build the future for these youths? At this juncture, let me switch to Yoruba a bit. Moki ẹ̀yin bàbá mi àti ìyá mi ní orúkọ Ọlọ́run ọba Àjọkẹ́ ayé àṣàkẹ́rùn pẹ̀lú gbólóhùn tó wúrú rẹwà jùlọ tí ṣe salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nta torí ẹ̀wà bílẹ̀ ni òní accountability ẹ̀yà mi Yorùbá ká máa ṣe ṣírò. So tí mo bá wá dúró síwájú yín lẹ́yìn tí mo dé ní wákàtí kan tó yẹ kí program ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ tí mi tí rí ìṣirò yẹn ṣe ó mo fi ní kẹjọ kẹ dáríjì máìkì tí mo gbé dání kò ń ṣe torí pé mo mọ ohun tí mo fẹ́ sọ jù yín lọ ẹ̀yin bàbá mi lẹ wà lórí ìjókòó ṣùgbọ́n kékeré tí mo rí tèmi rí tẹ̀yin lè má rí ó ṣeé ṣe kẹ́yin má rí nítorí ibi tọ́lọ́run fi èmi sí ẹ̀yin ti wò pé Abdulsami Basira àwọn ọmọ dáadáa tá a tọ́ láti lé kò sí ibi tí wọ́n lọ fa kò sí nǹkan kan àwọn ọmọ mi ni mo jẹ́rìí wọn ẹ má jẹ́rìí wọn èmi náà jẹ́rìí tèmi ṣùgbọ́n mo máa sọ ẹ jọ nítorí ọlẹ́ ẹ̀já ṣe kinní kan fúnra wa tẹ́ ẹ bá káwọn ọmọ yín lọ lé ọ̀rẹ́ wọn àbí tọ́ bá lọ́pọ̀túnítì láti jọ jáde ẹ máa bi àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ yín báwo lọ́mọ yín ṣe ń ṣe lè dọ́mọ̀tọ́ ọjọ́ kan mo lọ sọ́jà Badagry ọmọ kan bá ní Umu Fahima today Falia played throughout ọmọ mi ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ she played in school mo ní she played okay when I get home I'll talk to her mo bá dé Falia ń gbọ́ wọ́n lérè ni wọ́n ṣe lé ní kúra ọ̀rẹ́ ìwà títa lẹ́jọ́ ṣeré ẹni tó fẹjọ́ sùn lọ́jọ́ ṣeré orí òríra ẹ̀ orí òkè ríra ẹ̀ tí máa mọ́ ọmọ mi lọ́dọ̀ ọ̀rẹ́ mi lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan máa níjọ sóbẹ́ẹ̀kì tó tọrọ sọ fún mi ajé àjọ táwọn ọmọ yìí ẹ má jẹ́ a máa hùwà pé mo bá ń bá a wí ọmọ tá a bá ti kọ́ olóńgbélé tá a kọ́ tá a ní tí mo wá ń bá yín sọ yín bàbá mi ẹ̀yin ìyá mi ni pé báwo lẹ ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ yìí sí nígbà tí mo wá ráfà lórí ìjókòó ni màá máa ní ẹ̀sà ẹ máa sọ fọ́mọ yín kán kírun ẹ máa sọ fọ́mọ yín kán gbáwẹ̀ ẹ ti mọ gbogbo yẹn ẹ má gbìyànjú ìdé mi fẹ́ bá yín sọ ni pé kẹ́ ẹ máa bá àwọn ọmọ yìí sọ̀rọ̀ kẹ́ ẹ máa jíròrò nítorí pé kí ni ìjíròrò yìí láàfi mọ kí ni tí wọ́n fẹ́ táàfi lè mójútó ìtó ṣẹ́kù ẹ má máa ó pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ àwọn bàbá wa àti ìyá wa tí wọ́n èé bọ́ ọmọ sọ̀rọ̀ tí olóò fowó mo ti fún wọn lówó kí ló tún lóò fẹ́ ó dàbọ̀ Ọlọ́run ó sọ nǹkan pọ̀ àwọn ọmọ ìlóyún béèrè gbójú yín ni ò sí ńlẹ̀ ìbẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe délé ọmọ ó sì họ kí ló dé dádì ti dé wọ́n ti sá lọ wọ́n lóyún wọ́n fẹ́ béèrè nǹkan ìmí máa dénú ọ́fíìsì ẹni tó jẹ́ lẹ́kítọ́rì á dẹ̀ bú sẹ́kún ọ̀rọ̀ tí ò lè bá yín sọ nílé ló wá ń bá wa sọ wọ́n fẹ́ ni tí ó fetí ilẹ̀ fún wọn díẹ̀ la lè ṣe ẹ má ti àwọn ọmọ yìí pé wò mo ti tọ́ iná lọ tún rẹ tọ́ lóòótọ́ ni ṣùgbọ́n ṣe rí Islam àmánà ló pọ̀ ọmọ bíbí Islam ò yọ̀ǹda kò yọ̀ǹda pé kẹ́ẹ̀kan bí dùdúlẹ̀ kẹ́ẹ̀fílẹ̀ kó máa ṣe tó wù bàbá mo nígbà tọmọ yín bá kó tiẹ̀ tó bàlágà ṣe bá sọ̀rọ̀ olóbìnrin dé ṣe bá sọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ grades ẹ̀ kí ló gbà kí ni GPA báwo ló ṣe ń ṣe yunifásitì ṣe bá sọ̀rọ̀ pé ó níyì kó o fọpọlọ rẹ kàwé kó o bẹ lọ́n fàlùbáríkà kó o ṣe kó yanjú ju kó o gbéwèé lọ. ǹjẹ́ ń bá àwọn nǹkan tí Islam kọ́ wa yìí kéékèèké tí dídí tí tóbi táwùjọ fi gbayì táwùjọ fi ní ǹjẹ́ ẹ̀ràn ti bá wọn sọ kò ń ṣòwò owó ọ̀ràn owó kọ́ là ń sọ ẹ mú àsìkò díẹ̀ sílẹ̀ àsìkò tẹ́ ẹ fi ń wo fútbọ́ọ̀lù ẹ fi díẹ̀ lẹ̀ fáwọn ọmọ yìí kò bá ga jù yín lọ ẹ̀yin lẹ bí nígbà tí mo wà kékeré màmá mi á ní wo obìnrin ni ẹ Ọlọ́run ló mọ tí ó fi fún mi lọ́kùnrin tó lọ́kùnrin kò bá rọ̀màlà yóò rọ̀màlà kí ló dì ní rò obìnrin ni ẹ obìnrin a sì ń tọ́ àwọn obìnrin à ń gbàgbé ọkùnrin ṣé tá a bá tọ́ obìnrin tọ́ ọkùnrin kọ́ ni ó fẹ́ ẹ jọ nítorí tọ́ Ọlọ́run bàbá mi ẹ̀yin bàbá mi ẹ̀yin ìyá mi tẹ́ wà lórí ìjókòó ẹ jẹ́ àgbìyànjú lórí àwọn ọmọ yìí ọ̀rọ̀ pọ̀ afẹ́fẹ́ sì tọ́ wọn ẹ̀sìn ara wa lè má pọ̀ ó lè jẹ́ pàwọ́ fúnra wa kò ń ṣe pé ẹ̀sìn yìí ṣùgbọ́n mò ń sọ fún yín tí ilé bá tò má parọ́ má jalè kírun fọ́lọ́run má ṣe ṣìnà ṣe ráwọn òfin kéékèèké ìta bá ti rí fi múlẹ̀ Islam agbègbè wa ti ń yanjú bọ̀ iṣẹ́ wo pọ̀ púpọ̀ mọ́ ṣùgbọ́n gbà tá a bá ti wo ọmọdé level àrán Markaz ok àrán ní tàfí school ó wá Kùránì kí ló ṣẹ́kù ó kù sí lọ́wọ́ mo ní ìsàṣírí kan fún yín ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ ní mugbó àtẹ̀mí ò lè mugbó irọ́ ni Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ wa mugbó ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀yin náà máa dọ́gbọ́n díẹ̀díẹ̀ ẹ̀yin mú fóònù wọn lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan ọmọ abẹ́ yín náà sì jẹ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan kí lẹ̀ ń wò tẹ́ ẹ bá wá rí kò ń ṣe pé kẹ́ ẹ fárígá ẹ wà pé wọ́n jókòó ìpèníjà àlìkíámọ̀ ojú ó sọ̀rọ̀ fa àwọn ríkìrí àwọn ẹ̀yà ara wa tá a fi wòwò kú wò tá a fi rìn lọ síbi tí ò yẹ wọ́n mọ̀ jẹ́rìí ọmọ mi má jẹ́ ṣe má ṣe báyìí báyìí òun la ṣe ń ṣe ẹ̀yin màmá wa ẹ̀mélòó lẹ fi ń bá àwọn ọmọ yìí sọ̀rọ̀ ìgbà tó ń bàlágà tán kò ń ṣèrun nìkan lẹ máa bá wọn sọ ẹ pé wọn ẹ bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ ó yá ọmọ mi ṣé nǹkan kan wà tó fẹ́ bá mi sọ àwọn gan wo awọ tán awọ sí àyìn tí n ṣe pé ya ìdẹ̀mí báyìí tí n sẹ̀yìn lánàá torí ẹ̀ pé irú ẹ̀rí ẹ bá mi sọ̀rọ̀ kí ni tó wà lẹ́mìí ẹ bá mi sọ tí ẹ bá fetí sílẹ̀ kí wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ àwọn tó fẹ́ tà wọ́n ti wà ń ta o ọmọ tẹ́ ẹ rí nílé kọ́ ló wà ń ta o òótọ́ ni mò ń sọ fún yín ọmọ tẹ́ ẹ rí tẹ́ ń tọ́ nílé òun kọ́ ni ní skul o tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ rárùṣà ọmọ yín ẹ ṣeré lọ nírọ̀lẹ́ má lẹ́njọ́ kan tí ò ti expect owó tiẹ̀ ọmọ mi dà hostel tí mo fi sí ṣé ń ṣe pé ó ti lọ àwọn ọmọ wọn ń dára o mo fi ọlọ́run ọba bẹ̀yìn ọlọ́run jẹ́ àjẹ̀bí lórí ọmọ ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe ìgbìyànjú yìí púpọ̀ ká ṣe ìgbìyànjú yìí nígbà tí wọ́n ti fún mi lecture yẹn mo rẹ́rìn mo ní àfáà ló ń ṣe lecture ẹ̀rí ustaz wa ń gbà tó wá ẹ̀rí ustaz wa máyà léèkè àwọn àfáà nù èyí tèmi rí gẹ́gẹ́ bí abiyamọ tó ń já mi jẹ òun lèmi fẹ́ bá yín sọ bàbá olówó màmá olówó ẹ dákun ẹ má fọ ọmọ sí ẹ má ṣe ọmọ yáhùn ẹ lọ bá fa àlàgbájá lọ kéwú ẹ má lọ bẹ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ nǹkan ṣẹlẹ̀ ṣé wá rí àwọn nǹkan tá à ń pariwo yìí ìmí ìwà tó yẹ pé tó bá ti ṣe obìnrin lẹ́ẹ̀kan tí ó bá ṣẹlẹ̀ sóbìnrin lẹ́ẹ̀kan tí ò bá ń ṣe tànà Ọlọ́run obìnrin náà tún gbádùn mọ́ ẹ̀yà má jẹ́ ajé ó ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ má jẹ́ ajé ó ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká máa tọ́ àwọn ọmọ yìí ká máa ṣọ́ wọn ká máa bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ kọ́mọ 1 part 5 kó ti fìyàwó sọ̀kan kò dàgbà jù láti bá sọ̀rọ̀ kò dàgbà jù láti ẹ̀yin lẹ fẹ́ wáyé ni kò bá jẹ́ nínú sọ̀ náà tẹ̀ tí ń tajà ní wá mo fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ sọ nǹkan kan ẹ jẹ́ á wáyé fáwọn ọmọ yìí tá a bá sọ pé afáwùjọ mùsùlùmí alálàáfíà tá a bá rí ti léyanjú a máa pẹ́ ń bẹ́ o ọlọ́run má jẹ́ apẹ́pẹ́ kúpẹ́ o mo wá fọlọ́ ọlọ́run bẹ́ẹ̀ ọlọ́run ọba tí ń bá ní tọmọ torí kò sí bá a ṣe gbà kọ́lọ̀ ń jẹ́ kí tí ó gbọ́ ṣùgbọ́n èèyàn mọ̀ pé ìgbìyànjú tèmi ń kọ́ mo ti ṣe kí ni ká ṣe mo sọ fún yín pé ẹ jẹ́ a máa bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ mọ̀ ọ̀rẹ́ wọn know their friends ẹ mọ̀ àwọn tọ́rẹ̀ ọmọ yín ń bá rìn ó ṣe kókó ẹ máa dọ́gbọ́n gbọ́rọ̀ wọn díẹ̀díẹ̀ tán bá ń sọ bí ẹ ní ṣe bíi pé ìyí tó ń sọ ẹ sọ fún yín ẹ gbọ́ èyí tí wọ́n ń sọ náà tètè yín ẹ wá jókòó ẹ wá pé wọ́n jókòó pé àmúgbọ́n tó wí báyìí ní báyìí kọ́ ẹ kọ́ wọn nípa lílo pọ̀táàbù fóònù tá à ń gbé káàkiri ẹ kọ́ wọn lò ẹ má kàn rà fún wọn pé gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ bá ṣàṣírí ń bẹ̀ sáà ni ẹ máa wò ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kí nǹkan ní wá dojú ìjà kọ wájú àlìkè àmọ́ pé mo wá ti gbé ilé ẹ lọ́wọ́ wàhálà tí ẹ dẹ̀ wá nìyẹn ṣe bó ti dàgbà bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ o fóònù tẹ́ẹ̀rí yẹn ń balẹ̀ ayé èèyàn jẹ́ o àwọn obìnrin kan wá sì wà ní òhò ọmọ olúàbí wọ́n sì máa send picture sọkùnrin snap this thing to me mo wish pé mo lè sọ ṣùgbọ́n inú mi wúwo ẹ wà mọ́ wọ́n wọ́n á snap ránṣẹ́ síra wọn wọ́n mọ̀ snap ránṣẹ́ síra láwọn ọmọ secondary school káti ẹ̀ má ti sọ̀rọ̀ lóríṣiríṣiríṣiríṣi bẹ́ẹ̀ nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ káwọn ọmọ wa yà ẹ jẹ́ káwọn náà máa gbìyànjú ká jẹ́ nǹkan náà ọmọ tó fẹ́ kí òbí tó fẹ́ ká ọmọ ẹ̀ yanjú kó kírun kó ṣe ẹ̀jẹ̀ àrí lára tiyín náà. bàbá wa sọ lọ tá a bá wa sọ bọ̀ ká wa ní kíní yìí mi ṣe látijọ́ yìí kí ni mo ṣe wá sọ̀rọ̀ yìí sí èní náà la fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ èní la fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ àtúnṣe yẹn ẹ jẹ́ a bẹ̀rẹ̀ lẹ́nu àwa mùsùlùmí a gbọ́dọ̀ káwọ́rọ̀ wọn ò fẹ́ yan wọn ò fẹ́ ìmí wa látàn wọn ò fẹ́ ìmí mùsùlùmí látàn mi ò ní lè sọ̀rọ̀ jù ṣùgbọ́n bí mùsùlùmí bá wà níbì kan tó ń ṣoríire tí wà ìyá tó wọ́n dẹ̀ máa sọ fún bá ó dẹ̀ wá behave like a Muslim you don't talk like a Muslim you don't behave like a Muslim ṣọ́rọ̀ nù àbí sọkúsọ ẹjọ́ ẹ̀sìn wo ló ní ìwà ẹ̀sìn wo ló ní ẹwà ẹ̀sìn wo ló jẹ́ pé way of life òun ni Islam nítorí báwa mùsùlùmí ṣe ń ṣe ló jẹ́ kọ́rọ̀ wa rí báyìí ọlọ́run bá kó wọ ọlá kóun lọ́lọ́run kó ṣe títọ́ ọmọ nírọ̀rùn fún wa. Mi tí ì sọ ìdá kan nínú 200 nínú 1000 nínú nǹkan tó yẹ kí n sọ, ṣùgbọ́n ọmọ káwọn àfáà mi wà lórí ìjókòó, èyí tí mo rí tó ń jó mi lára òun ni mo sọ. Mo á fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ má gbàgbé gbólóhùn kan tí mo sọ, ìpè kí ni mind your business, kọjú mẹ́rù ẹ̀, fìyà alágbájá lẹ̀ kọjú mọ́ tiẹ̀, ẹni tọ́kọ rẹ̀ ṣe ìgbéyàwó kò sí èyí tó kàn, ẹni tó ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ dé sọ̀rọ̀ ní next street tó ń ta mind your business. Ọlọ́run ti kó bùkátà fún wa, kọ́lọ́n bá wa bíyà ẹ̀ ní àsìkò mùsùlùmí kéré síṣẹ́ tó ní, iṣẹ́ tá a ní pọ̀jù àsìkò lọ, ẹ jẹ́ àmọ́ tá à ń fi ṣe. Ọlọ́run bá kó wọ láàánú ẹ̀ kó ṣàforíjì fún gbogbo wa. Èyí tí mo rántí sọ ní dáadáa, Ọlọ́run bá kó gbà ní ìbádà. Èyí tí mo sọ tí mo fi ṣàṣejù, kọ́lọ́run foríjì mi. Èyí tí mo tó yẹ ń sọ tí mi ò rántí, kọ́lọ́run túnbọ̀ kọ́ mi mọ̀ ṣe. Ẹ ní bínú dádì àti mọ́mì mi, ẹ mọ̀ yọ̀ǹda mi bá àwọn ọmọ ń bẹ ń lè kéwọn Ṣómólú. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.